Hello and welcome back to the Watford Way today for our Cardiff City versus Watford match preview. And as always, for Cardiff games, we're joined by Nathan today to talk all things Cardiff City. Nathan, how are you doing today?
I am very well, thank you so much, James. Thanks for having me back on the Watford Way. I believe this is my third time on the channel. Always
Yes.
fantastic to come on, and we'll get onto it in a little bit in the preview. But how the tables have turned, let's just say, since last season. Thanks for having me on, and let's get talking on Watford and Cardiff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were discussing that before we started here today, and I suppose we'll start on the topic now, Nathan. Obviously, Cardiff City struggling a lot last season. I, for one, was concerned that you may just go down to League One. I'm sure you were very concerned as well. I saw the attendances at some of your games. The fans were getting very irate, very angry. But this season, tell us what's happened, because you've made a lot of signings in the summer. You've got Erol Bulut, who's your new Turkish manager. He's come into the club. I don't really know what's happened, but Aaron Ramsey signed. The vibes around Cardiff City are, seem to be really good at the moment. So can you just give us a bit of an insight on kind of your summer incomings and, the way you've been playing this season? Because the start you've had has been absolutely exceptional.
Yeah, absolutely said on the nail. I mean, look, approaching towards the end of last season, and I will say one thing now: it was a completely unacceptable season last year. 4 managers, turnover of players, absolutely shocking, etc., etc. Then Sabri Lamouchi doesn't get his contract renewed, so pretty much all Cardiff fans are in meltdown at this point, saying, "Oh my God, what's Tan doing again? This is the final straw for him." We've had the protest a few weeks ago. Are we going to end up having another one? Brings in Erol Bulut, so everything does calm down a little bit, as he was in the end going to be backed and was allowed to bring in his backroom staff, which was a little bit odd considering that Sabri Lamouchi wasn't allowed to do it, which is a bit bizarre. Then we kind of find out that Vincent Tan does step away and give more control to Kenju and Mehmet Dalman below. Then was backed with the finances of making free transfers, because obviously we've got a free window now reduced to 2-window transfer embargo, which does expire in January. I'm not sure what budget we're going to have considering the debt that the club is in at the moment. However, some good incomings coming in. Started off with Demetrius Goutas in defence, absolutely phenomenal. Loads of contract renewals as well. Perry NG getting his renewal. And then Ike Ogbo coming in at front, Colin Grant on loan. And then Yaku Mete is another one who's had a great start to the season, who I've got to mention. But the main elephant in the room, which I've got to talk about, is Aaron Ramsey joining on a free transfer, turning down a massive deal from Saudi Arabia to return to the club for his third spell. And yes, third spell, which doesn't happen often with any player in professional football, comes back to his boyhood club, gets the number 10 shirt, gets a massive pay cut as well. Son goes into the academy. And yeah, what a fairy tale story that is, bringing a lot more of the fans back on side. There are obviously still the boycotts, which we won't mention about with Vincent Tan, but comes into the side, really has that creativity in midfield, brings everyone together. And with the way that Bulut has been experimenting and implementing this style of play as well, sort of progressive counter-attacking with the elements that we can control the ball as well, pretty much doing anything to win a match, which is pretty much the Cardiff way. Style of play just goes out the window, providing we can win that game. And then ultimately does what we didn't do last year: score goals, be solid at the back. And we've had such a fantastic start to this season. And I'm still in disbelief of what's going on, to be honest, after some of the most excruciatingly painful football I've seen in the last 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, Nathan, you've got a YouTube channel yourself, and I was watching some of your vlogs last season, and let's just say you weren't very happy at the football you were seeing last year. But yeah, talking about Aaron Ramsey there, of course, I saw the news today that he's going to be out for a quite an extended period of time, actually 8 to 10 weeks. It looks like Aaron Ramsey is going to be out of the team for. Just how big of a miss is it for you? Because, he's made a fantastic start to the season. Obviously, we know the quality he holds, previously at Arsenal, going to Juventus. And you said that he turned down a big offer from Saudi Arabia, which is really good to see in the modern game, because you've seen the influx of players that have left, the Premier League and other big leagues around Europe going over there to earn their payday, really. So it's good to see he's gone the other way and actually come back to his boyhood club. But yeah, tell us, how big of a miss is that going to be for you? Because I watched the derby, obviously Cardiff versus Swansea. He scored in that game, I believe, as well. So yeah, how big of a miss is Aaron Ramsey going to be for
I
you?
mean, it's going to be a massive loss considering the creativity he's adding into that midfield. If we look at the last couple of games as well, where we were playing that midfield three of Manolas Siopis, who, another player I've got to mention, phenomenal. The boy has got an engine on him and a half. He can just run for Britain, honestly. And then you've also got Ryan Winston and Joe Rolls. That midfield three literally offers no creativity at all. However, when you slot Aaron Ramsey in there and take out a Winslow or a Rolls, for example, the amount of chances we're creating and distributing has been fantastic. And we're really getting in these good positions. We saw it against Leeds. Of course, that wonder strike against Leicester's got to be added as well.
Oh,
the
of course. I remember seeing that. Yeah.
The limbs at the King Power that day were just phenomenal.
I think it was 1-1 that game ended, wasn't it?
2-1, Jack Simpson giving it, but
sorry.
we won't mention him for certain reasons. Of course, he did end up getting sacked after it. So ultimately, he did score that worldie, added great creativity, scored it in the derby as well. Obviously, very sadly gets that injury, but we have actually won about 3 or 4 games this season where he hasn't actually played any minutes. So obviously, we knew we had to manage his fitness well, considering he is a little bit injury prone and his age as well. But the leadership in the dressing room, some matches it might affect us a little bit, but others we should be okay. Providing that we are able to mix it up in midfield a bit and don't play the midfield three I've just mentioned.
Okay, that's interesting to hear. I think from a Watford perspective, the formation we played this season is largely a 4-3-3. So we'll have obviously the four central defenders, and then we usually play a DM and 2 midfielders ahead of that, and then 2 wingers and a central striker. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see obviously how that fares up against your team on Saturday. Just generally talking about the atmosphere in the stadium and what the fans are feeling this season and what you feel going into this Watford game. Do you see Watford as a massive threat to you? Because from a Watford perspective anyway, we're kind of in the mood now where, when we go away from home, we're expecting a defeat. I don't know if you know this stat, but I'm going to tell it to you now to kind of see how you react. Watford haven't won a game away from home since the 1st of January. It's been over 270 games since Watford have won a game away from home. And obviously feeling sorry for the fans that travel each week as well. But yeah, that just goes to show kind of the run of form we're on at the moment. Obviously partly last season as well when we had Chris Wilder and Slavan Bilic, but this season's been no better really. So I think from a Cardiff perspective, if I was a Cardiff fan, I'd be quite optimistic going into this game. And as a Watford fan myself, I'm shitting it, to be honest. You guys are on a fantastic run of form. You're scoring goals. Yes, you do look a little bit defensively susceptible. I know you conceded a few goals in a couple of games. But yeah, how do you feel about Watford so far? And what's your thoughts on our current situation from a Cardiff fan's perspective?
Yeah, so with watching you guys this season, massive turnover of players, obviously, in the summer. Some great quality players going out the door for obvious reasons. Some of the players bringing in as well. It's sort of a so-so scenario with them coming in. The main one I know about really well is Reece Healy, who did come up in our academy, scored the odd goal, had his injury issues, but really did break through with that final move to Toulouse and then ends up going back to you guys. So that was a really good sale in our part because he wasn't really going to perform at the level we were hoping for. But there are some players that I'm a little bit wary of that I think you guys are going to dominate. Tom Ince, one you've got to bring in. Jamal Lewis, Wesley Hoyt is another example. Espria, if he's playing as well, he's going to cause us problems. Ben Amer, who used to play for Swansea as well. Sure, he's going to get a lovely reception. I'm pretty sure he might be on the bench, however, though.
He's kind of our second choice, third choice goalkeeper at the moment,
Hopefully he plays so he can get a nice little reception in front of the Canton stand. But there are some aspects of that squad who I'm a bit wary about. But ultimately, I am confident going into it, especially over the last couple of years where you guys are really struggling, unfortunately, this season. We haven't had great form against you guys either. Main one I'll put to is that 5-1 in the Premier League where Jared Delafeu just ripped us to shreds.
What an away day that was.
I know.
I've got vivid memories from that day. That was very fun. That was very fun.
Yeah, it was one of those horrible midweek fixtures in the cold in January that I remember. God, that was shocking day, let's just say. But yeah, we need to really get a good victory against you guys to really push on. Aside from that, we do have a lot of injury problems though as well, in particular up the pitch as well. Yaku Meite's out injured. We have injury susceptibilities in midfield. We don't have a left back at the moment because JC's out injured. So currently I'm to play Joe Rosa-Webu Adams, who's actually a midfielder there as well. We have no centre back cover either. So pretty much if we lose a Demetrius Gutas or a Mark McGuinness, good luck. We did have Jack Simpson, but did end up sacking him. Part of it was due to performances. Other parts of it, have a look at the FA's Twitter, and then you'll see exactly what that's about. I won't mention why on the stream, but aside from that, a few injury issues here and there. However, we finally got a break. Sunderland, we were worn out a bit. You could tell the players are a bit tired. So a good few days rest after a heavy schedule. I think we should well and truly be up for this game.
Yeah, and looking at your recent run of form, I mean, beating Coventry, beating Swansea, you've been mentioned as well. Yeah. There's some fantastic results in there. And, you know, do you think the Middlesbrough game recently was just a blip for you guys? Obviously, losing to them 2-0. Was that just, you know, an off day for you? Or do you think you will get back to form, you know, against Watford on Saturday?
Yeah, I think it was a bit of an off day because within the sort of last week or two, we have travelled a lot of miles. We've had Sunderland away, Blackburn away, Middlesbrough away midweek, which is absolute hell, as I'd like to describe it. But yeah, you could tell that they were starting to get a bit fatigued. We put some really good performances in as well. Sunderland completely capitulating at the end of that game. Mark McGuinness header as well. Coventry really capitalising on them when they didn't seem to turn up. And it's been a great run of form. And ultimately, 4 wins on the bounce in the Championship isn't sustainable. So that blip was going to come. But ultimately, the way we've got to look at Errol Bullitt is how does he manage the blip and how do we come back even stronger from that?
Absolutely. And I think for me and for you guys as well, it's what is our aspirations for the season? Because I think Watford fans, obviously, we want to aspire as high as possible. Ideally, would be challenging for the top 6 positions or automatic promotion in an ideal scenario. Obviously, that's not the case at the moment. But what do Cardiff City aspire to be this season? Do you aspire to be a side, you know, avoiding relegation year on year like you have done recently? Or do you aspire to be a side who are finishing mid-table very comfortably and maybe could even push on for a top 10 finish or sneak into them playoff positions? Because, you know, the Championship's a long old slog. You know, we're still really relatively early on into the season, so anything can happen. But you guys have had a great start. And I think for me personally, if you continue this run of form, obviously continuing it on from Watford on Saturday as well, I think you can aspire to be, you know, challenging for the playoff positions if you continue how you've been doing at the moment.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, ultimately at the start of the season, I was pretty much happy with 21st and over just because I actually want to see a season of stability at the club, which we haven't seen within about 5 years. Last time was obviously under Neil Warnock in the Premier League. All the ownership issues as well, you got to look at. Managers being sacked left, right and centre. And I have actually looked. We have sacked more managers than you guys in the last couple of years, which...
Yeah.
No offense to Watford, but I never thought that stat would even come anywhere close. But yeah, not sack a single manager. Like, I don't even know how Errol Bullitt's still in charge at this point, to be honest, considering what we've been like the last couple of years. Just a bit of that stability, getting a good opportunity to rebuild, losing the transfer embargo, and then sort of build back as the club from there. Maybe push for new owners as well, which we've wanted for over 10 years now. Because you can still see the regression from early 2010s, end of the 2000s as well, where we're consistently finishing in the playoffs and not quite getting to the Premier League and ultimately going down, shocking decisions, now at the other end of the table, which really we shouldn't be there. But I just think we need stability for now. I don't think we should... we're playing well, but we need to keep a lid on it. Okay. Realize what we've had over the last couple of years.
So you essentially saying, James, don't be so ridiculous. Let's be realistic here. You said you would take, you know, finishing 21st or above, which I think is fair enough. But yeah, let's quickly talk about.
All I'll say is never say never.
Never say never. Never say never. Of course, I mean anything can happen in football, Nathan.
Yes.
yeah, you can see where Watford are at the moment is not ideal at all. But yeah, quickly talking about the game before we get into our score predictions once again. In terms of Watford from a tactical perspective, as I said, we play a 4-3-3 formation. Where in this Cardiff City side can we target? You mentioned there you're playing a player out of position at left back, I believe. Is that something Watford should target? Is it a midfielder playing there? I can't remember who you said.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to have to play Ebou Adams there. And looking at the team news today from Bullett's press conference, it looks like that Collins is going to be out for a month, which leaves us nothing there. So hopefully, I imagine it'll be an NG, Gutas, McGuinness, Adams back four, which is great to see Ebou Adams start, but it's just a shame it is out of position. We do really need to play, in my opinion, a 4-2-3-1. And if it is going to be Siopis, Winsell, and Riles, you can really exploit that midfield with a lack of creativity in there. If you shore up defensively, break on the counter a few times well, then you should be able to sneak a few goals in there.
Okay, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. There is some positivity, at least going into this game from a Watford perspective.
Yes.
In terms of us, we don't really have any major injury issues as per Reece Healy mentioned. I didn't actually realise he'd come through the Cardiff City Academy. So hopefully he gets a good reception when he comes back to you guys this weekend. And actually, he's only just returned from injury as well. He joined Watford in the summer. We was all very excited about him. You mentioned his spell in France, and he was very prolific actually for Toulouse, scoring lots and lots of goals. But he had some sort of mystery injury or illness. We don't really know what it was, but he's just come back into the Watford team. He featured actually last night in our defeat to Sunderland as well. So yeah, I think that's another dynamic to add into the game as well. I didn't actually realise that, so thanks for bringing that up, Nathan. Score prediction time. Of course, I assume you're going to the game, Nathan. Will you be vlogging from the game this weekend?
I will indeed. Of course, my annual Watford vlog, as we should say. So yes, I will be there on the Canton stand, loud and proud, of course. So as terms for a score prediction, I really don't know, to be honest. Last game before the international break, need to make an impression as well. Got a few players who are actually going off to play for their countries as well. So it'll be good to give them a good send-off and good luck as well. I am thinking that it might be a draw, considering our recent games against you guys. However, I'm going to stay confident, and I think we are going to make it 5 victories in 4. And I'm going to go for a narrow 1-0 victory with Manolas Siopis getting his first goal.
Okay, that's very interesting. I think for me, I would usually predict a Watford victory. However, it's been 3 defeats in a row. We've not been great away from home. As I mentioned earlier, Watford haven't won away from home since the 1st of January against Norwich City, which is terrible. It's probably one of the worst runs in the Football League, to be honest. So yeah, the run your form you've been on, you mentioned you've been playing really well, scoring lots of goals. Your style of play seems to be a lot more attractive than last season as well. I can only see this going one way. I think it's going to be a Cardiff City victory. I think your vlog's going to be you being very, very happy, Nathan. Yes. And I'm going to go for a 2-0 Cardiff win. I don't think Watford will score away from home. On the counter attack, Watford aren't very good at all. Actually, we started the season pressing really, really high, but that's left now as well. We don't really have a high press. And defensively, we're shocking as well. Wesley Hoot making lots of mistakes. Ryan Porteous isn't as bad. But even still, if you target that Watford back line, we play out from the back all the time. There's definitely going to be a few mistakes made in there for you guys to capitalise on. So for me, as I said, I can only see this going one way. And I think it'll be a 2-0 Cardiff City win for you guys going into the international break. Nathan, thanks so much for coming on the channel today, as always. Where can everyone find you on socials and on YouTube?
Fantastic. So yes, my Twitter is right by there at NWMYT. Same on the Instagram as well. So make sure to check that out, guys. NWM on YouTube. I do Cardiff City vlogs. Last season it was rants. This season it's more celebrations. So if you want to see another fantastic vlog at the weekend, you guys know where to hit it. And also,
and your dad regularly features as well, doesn't he?
He does, with some of his iconic reactions as well. Some mint away days, we've got to say as well. So if you want to see some of that, make sure to check it out, and make sure to subscribe, follow this legend here, and check out the Watford Way for more content, guys.
Thank you, Nathan. Do you get to many away games, by the way? I don't think we've ever discussed that. You don't get to too many, do you?
Yeah, it's mainly the ones that it pretty much depends on the fixture. So if we get a nice close one, like that's not too far up north and we're pretty much available for it, then we'll do it. But what we've seen a lot recently is they'll put all the northern away games on the Saturday. Sometimes we can do them, sometimes we can't. and then they'll put the close Birminghams and your Coventries, all of them midweek, or as they've done for the last couple of years, minus this season, Watford away. Every single season it was a midweek.
Yeah.
Annoying.
Yeah, so hopefully I'll see you at Vicarage Road anyway this
100%.
season. I'm actually yet to meet in real life yet, Nathan.
I know.
So hopefully we can change that this season. I'm sorry to say I won't be travelling to Cardiff City this weekend. If Watford were on a better run of form, I may have made a decision to come. But yeah, the weather looks quite nice on Saturday, so I think I'll stay at home and enjoy the sunshine. In my personal opinion, I think that's a better choice to make. But yeah, as Nathan said, please subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to Nathan's channel as well. Make sure to follow him on social media. And I'll catch you again very soon for our next video. Bye-bye.